Okay, so here you're looking at an example of some data that is very messy structurally. And what you're noticing is that all of these columns, 1960 all the way up to 2019, really should be values under a particular variable, perhaps year, and not actually column names. Now, the problem with the way this data set appears right now is that it's quite hard to model, visualize, etc. So it turns out it's much easier if you can get all of these values and put them under a single variable. Now, this refers to a broader concept called tidy data, where this gentleman, Hadley Wickham, wrote a paper that goes into it extensively. But essentially, what we want to do is fix these column names so that it's all stored under a single variable called year. And that makes it easier to run like pandas, group bys, and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our data set, and which I've called data, and we're going to find a way to take all of these columns using .melt. And the first thing that I'm going to pass in here is something called ID vars. And ID vars are the things that we're keen on just leaving the same. So we're not too concerned about these two columns. We're happy with the way that they're currently structured. So we can pass in the country name as the first one, and then as the second variable, we'll pass in the country code. And what this will do is it'll unpivot all the rows, so we get a data set looking like this. And what you see here is that these country names and country codes have been relatively unchanged. However, the columns, which were years, have now been placed as individual observations. And because of this, we've added more rows to our data set. There's the same amount of data, but each year has been given a different row. What we can now do is we can, instead of storing this in a column called variable, we can say var name is equal to whatever we want to call it, and we can set the value name to whatever we want to call this. In this case, we're dealing with fertility rates, so let me call it fertility rates. And once we run that, we get a new completely tidy data set. It now becomes very easy to run things like pandas, group bys, and that's pretty much it.